Okay, so we're going to pick up from where we left off, and where we left off was section 4 of the stock candidate watch list. Okay, a little bit refresher of where we were at. How to read the TC2000 indicators for extreme conditions. So remember, we went through this section of explaining the TSV and the MACD and what we're looking for. We went ahead and set up the red bars, the red horizontal bars. All right, so a 1-minute review is we're going to go ahead, and what we're trying to do is look at the highest peak prior to, assuming this is a current date. This would say this is the current date, and obviously this is blasting off the time segmented volume, which is in the pink, and the MACD bars are in the blue. And we look to wherever it currently, as long as these bars are crossing the red horizontal line at the same time, is when we want to enter the trade. The white line is when that occurred. It's the first time that occurred. So this was the extreme peak in the pink here, and this was the extreme in the blue bars here, extreme peak over here. And I marked that bar, and I'm going to show you in about 5 minutes how to mark these bars, or how to mark the bars. But that's what happened right here. The white line is when we entered the trade. And then scanning down, this was the result. We entered the trade here. Let me bring it back down. And that little dashed line over here, that's going from when we entered it to the very next day. It could have been over 3 days, since it's a 3-day chart. But what's most important is the data over here. It's showing us it made a 5.4% move, which easily hit our 1.5% target. Okay, and then we were gone. We're out of it. We exited the trade. Okay, so that's the refresher of where we left off in the last video. Now, stock candidate watch list. I explained in the free stock charts how to create the watch list, and how to add stocks, how to delete stocks, and how to move columns around. We just reviewed that. So when it says run the algorithm to find extreme moving stocks, then sort by volume, you can only run that algorithm with the paid version. Okay, and then I was explaining, pick stocks with a volume of at least 100,000 shares. That means traded. If you are trading on average less than 1,000 shares per trade. Pick stocks with a volume of at least 1,000,000 shares if you are trading thousands of shares per trade. So you never want to stand out as a trader in a very thinly, low volume traded stock, because your trade may not execute. You don't want to have a dramatic effect on the stock price. And generally speaking, the stock market tries to maintain an orderly trades in an orderly fashion, they say. So you never want dramatic changes in stock price. And if you were to trade 1,000 shares, and on average the stock trades 10,000 shares, you can have a dramatic move on that stock price. 10% just based on your one trade. So long story short is I trade only stocks that are trading at least 1,000 shares per trade. So with all that said, I'll show you what that means on the paid version, which you're looking at here. The algorithm that I have pre-set up, for example, it's under what they call an easy scan, and an easy scan is a pre-selected algorithm to search for specific stocks, specific conditions. That's what Telechart calls a scan, is an easy scan. And these are my pre-built scans that I made up. So let's say I want this is the pink one, time segmented volume, a new low, 460 bars is what that means. D3 is over a 3-day period. Okay, and the setting happens to be TSV 16. That's what the 16 means. So if I hit that, it's scanning. It instantly scanned about thousands and thousands of stocks. I'll sort by volume. Okay, because remember I said I want at least, thousands of shares of stocks being traded. So this first one, it's trading at 38.4 million shares. So that obviously would be, if everything was right, that would easily fit as far as our criteria for volume. Now, if we look over here, it's scanning for stocks that are skyrocketing down. Remember, we said new low, TSV 16 new low, 460 bars. That's these bars right here. And actually, now it's at full scale. Let me clean things up here, make it so you can see a little bit better. All right, so this is all stocks where time segmented volume is skyrocketing down. Hit this next button, and what I would be doing, there's 29 items in the watch list. We're on item number 3, and what I'm really going to be looking for is stocks that where the bar is coming down and the bar is also coming down and making a new low. Okay, so that's what ultimately I'm looking for as far as candidates. And if I find that situation, I would add them to my watch list. Okay, but I want to stay on track with what we're talking about, which is run the algorithm, which I just showed you, and I talked about sorting them by volume, which was demonstrated over here. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, but that's what I wanted to illustrate as far as how to find candidates. That was that lesson. So the next session here, when a stock meets the bull bear profit criteria, add the stocks to a watch list. The following graphics explains the process of creating a watch list, then adding stocks to the watch list using the paid version. So this you have for your reference. It explains very clearly what you need to do. Click on New on the software. Click on Personal Watch List. You give the watch list a name. Okay. Then you add symbols to the watch list. So if we're to follow along in real time, you'd click on that arrow here. Oops, sorry, that was for the indicators. I'd click, see, you can't see this here because it's cutting this out. Hold on, let me move this around a little bit so you can see what I'm actually doing. We'd click on New, Personal Watch List. That's where that my list is, and you could just say Mike's new list. There it is. There's your Mike's new list. So this would be a brand new watch list of stocks, and then we're done with that. Come over here to the plus symbols. Let's add Facebook. Boom, and there you have it. Now you have a watch list. And then to access that watch list, or let's continue on. Let's just continue on. I don't want to get off track here. So we went through new watch list. We added a personal watch list. We entered the name, Mike's New Watch List there. Then we added symbols to the watch list. And that's where I explained here. You type the ticker symbol, hit tab or hover mouse over company, then click on add, which I did. The symbol is now added to your watch list. And then you continue the process to add more symbols or click plus symbols in the top bar of the watch list window. And that's up here. Plus symbols. If you want to add additional stocks to that watch list. Okay, so how to use the drawing functions on Telechart 2000. What we're going to do is do this on we're going to go through this tutorial here. You know, I'm just going to keep it simple. We'll use we'll go through these. Let me blow this up. Trying to make this as big as we can. And what I want to review is this whole drawing toolbar selection over here, how to use these and what they're used for. You're going to definitely want to have be able to use all these different tools when you add your trade plan to your chart. Okay, so clicking here opens and closes the drawing tools, and that is referring to this. Let me close these. This is opening and closing. Let me go on to something. Let me come over here. So clicking this opens and closes this toolbar. They should call it the drawing toolbar. Okay. So trend line, we're going to talk about the trend line, the text and horizontal line. The trend line is simply allows you to draw a line wherever you want. Okay. If we hit repeat, RPT, we hit trend line, you could draw trend lines here. And you don't have to go back and hit trend line again. It's ready to go again. I didn't do anything. It just automatically, I could draw a line, draw a line, draw a line. That is what the repeat function does. And if that can be obviously helpful, so you don't have to keep going over here and hitting this button every time you got to draw a new line. Okay. And then to delete it, you can edit it, create a parallel line, set an alert. Here we just want to delete this. We don't need any of these at all. But anyway, that trend line, by the way, is what I use when I enter in a stock on a particular day. That way that would be something I would typically do, just as I always enter. For me, it's a white line on the day that this stock, it's not when I entered the stock, but it's actually the time that it became a candidate. It's the time that it became eligible to trade. That's what I use the white vertical little trend line for. That's my most used. Alright, text is an excellent thing to use, an excellent feature to enter in your trade plan. I do this mandatorily. Oh, we still have repeat on. Yeah. And hitting the escape button on your keyboard, it turns off the repeat function. So here we don't need that. But you could highlight it. It's kind of nice. It tells you information about when you entered that, what type of chart it was, what date it was, and then I'll go ahead and type in any text, any note. Like maybe sometimes I'll have, do not trade, use for research only. Anyway, it's text is what it amounts to. And okay, the horizontal and vertical lines. So let's pretend we entered the trade yesterday. I will use the vertical line, an orange vertical line, and that's my personal designation for every trade I've entered. I'll enter that line on the day I entered the trade. Okay, that's important for me. Use it however you want, but just I'm showing you the tools I use most often when I trade or when I'm looking for candidates. The horizontal line I use, and I'll color it depending if I'm doing a short or long, whether I'm doing a bull or bear trade. And I'll put this line in and I'll designate that line as where I become profitable, for example. And let's just say at $35.15, I'm going long, so I'll make it green, and that's where my trade turns profitable. And then I'll do it again, and I'll have two horizontal lines, and the other line may designate where my target is at, or my profit point. That's my biggest use of horizontal lines. Okay, so so we went through these three things: the trend, the text, the vertical, horizontal lines. What else do we have here? Click on different boards gives you a clean slate to write notes on. Make a trade plan. This is super helpful. Okay, on these boards, literally, if I click here, well, it's on board number 8. I designated board number 8 strictly for research. So I know if I go to a stock and I say, okay, on this one, I entered here. Oops, I don't want to use that one. I'll enter this. Let's say I entered here, and then I'll put a note. Maybe I'll put only dollar cost average when TSV is greater than, I'll look over it at my data box and just, this is something that I'll do. It's not rare, but basically what I'm trying to illustrate is the boards, and that you can put notes on this particular board number 8, and I'll say 54.8 K. Alright, that means on this board, on my research, if I come across this stock again, I know what I did. And also, really important, put the date of the note, because that could pertain to, like, when. If I come back to this 2 months later, I'm thinking, what was, on what date, what does this pertain to, Putting the date is really important. That way, when you go back once again over your notes, you can kind of flash back and say, oh, I was looking at this, well, what was going on here? And I can instantly know what I was thinking. Okay, so that's this board. If I go to board 2, notice my notes disappear. Okay, here all the notes I wrote pertain to this board. As you can imagine, that's super powerful. Board number 2 I designate for my actual trades. Okay, any notes I go to board 2, I'll use for trading. Yes, 0.20. So that was some note I had in the past. It doesn't matter. Okay, and then you could designate each board however you want, but they give you plenty of boards, obviously, to take notes. If I go to Disney, Walt Disney Company here, see how every single board here has a little, and whenever you write a note, a little gold star appears. So obviously here I had notes on various things here. Let me back this up. So I'm just kind of going through each board. Anyway, that's the point about boards. I don't want to do overkill on the boards here. So these are my most frequently used tools. Another thing here is clicking on the help. The tutorial videos is very helpful, because literally Telechart 2000 explains the videos themselves. So this is what I was trying to show, is to clicking on the help button and then tutorials. So in the live version, you can click on help, tutorial videos, and then it brings up TC2000 video tutorials. This is super in-depth if you wanted to look at other, this enormous amount of videos, but anyway, it's a pretty darn good help in watching these videos on what you're trying to do and how to set alerts, and which is super helpful as well. This next section here is where some more meat and potatoes are. The bull bear profit methods. So this is to pay particular attention to, this section here. There are many methods or modified methods that can be profitable. So in this section we will focus on two methods that have been extensively tested, I mean hundreds of times, hours and hours and hours, I would say months of research, and proven to be profitable over 90% of the time. Note, certain BBB, bull bear profit acronyms are used to describe methods. Please reference your BBP definitions. Alright, so here's an acronym for you just right off the bat. The method name is called PM200D3. Now when it comes to methods, the format I use is RPA, sometimes you'll see RPM, but what result are we after? Why are we doing the method in the first place? Very important. We are going to profit from the reversal after a major momentum or emotion. Our target is 1%. Whenever I say target, I'm referring to profit target. Okay, so there's no mistaking it. I will put profit target. Okay, so, and the purpose to maintain consistent profit targets of 1% or better per trade. That's the whole reason we're doing PM200 D3. So action. If your MACD indicator is not already set up, reference this section here, how to read your TC2000 indicators, on page 5, which we already did. Now, profits are made by catching the reversal after an extreme MACD momentum run up in price. Okay? If a stock is in a major bull run up in price, then profits will be made by shorting the stock. Remember, it's a reversal. We always want to catch that little reversal. If a stock is falling hard, then profits will be made by going long. So if it's falling in price, it's going to have a reversal up, which is the bull movement, means we're going to go long. Okay, once again, profits are made by catching the reversal after an extreme MACD momentum run in price. If you remember that as being the ultimate objective on this method and the next method, it makes things easier of what we're trying to accomplish. So, entries are determined by the most extreme MACD bar over an extended period of time in a stock's history, then finding an equal and opposite extreme on the other side of the MACD midline. This will all be explained. I just want to get it down in writing here. So a stock qualifies to be added to a watch list after the equal and opposite bar has moved at least 200% from its extreme move. After the stock has qualified, then a trade entry occurs after the first MACD bar reversal. The method PM200D3 is explained in the chart below. Alright, so what did all I just say? How does that look in real life here? Okay. Okay, so PM200, we'll start with that. And D3, we're using a 3-day chart. So notice here on this chart, I'm not using TSV at all. This PM200 has strictly to do with MACD, okay? And what we're trying to do is similar in bars, extreme, extreme. So in this example here, I expanded this chart out as big as I can make it. And our first step is find the highest bar, find the highest high, which happened to equal 9.20 on this particular DG stock. Now, a stock becomes a candidate, or it becomes eligible to trade when this extreme movement is this, it at least has the same extreme movement on the equal and opposite side of the midline, and that's down here. Okay, the white vertical line is where the trade becomes eligible. So what that means is this white vertical line here is when the MACD bar it equal or exceeded 9.2. So that means it went at least negative. Remember, everything under the bar is negative, everything on top is positive. It went over negative 9.2. Okay, so under number 2, a stock qualifies or becomes a candidate if a MACD bar reaches at least the equal and opposite from the highest high. This is equal and opposite, in fact it exceeded it, than the highest high in the entire time period. Okay, look for that bar. When that happens, it becomes a candidate, and that becoming a candidate means I put it on my stock watch list. Okay, my candidates, my stock candidates. Now, in this example, the bar exceeded negative 9.20 on September 13th, 2016. So I clicked on that bar and look at the data box over here. On September 13th, 2016, that bar went to negative 10.31, and that, of course, exceeded 9.20. So, I hope I drove that point home. When it becomes eligible, that's not when you trade, that becomes eligible. So the first reversal was on September 21st, 2016, equals the first trade entry. What I'm referring to on 921 is this green arrow, first reversal. Okay, and the reversal is when the bar came down, and it's the very first bar that went up, and that's right here. Right here. Okay, that was the first reversal. A second reversal occurred, which will be our dollar cost average 1. This trade, by the way, it didn't immediately produce a profit. That's why we had to dollar cost average. So the goal now would be to break even. And remember, that's part of our overall objective, is to never take a loss. So the next best thing we're trying to achieve is to break even on the trade. So we had our first reversal here on let's see here, our first September 21st. Then we bought more shares. We exercised money management. We talked about money management, not betting everything on the first trade. So we used money management. We went and we invested more on the second reversal on October 7th, 2016. The trade breaks even on November 10th, 2016. So we're going to go to the chart below the chart I just explained. The chart below shows the result of the trade where the trade breaks even. So what I ended up doing was, instead of just purely looking at bars, I dropped down this line to expose the prices, and that's this chart here. So the entries, we did 2 entries. Once again, I explained the entries. The first entry was just our normal trade. The second entry, the second orange line here, was our dollar cost average. And in reality, this is what we did. Our first entry was at 72.18. The second entry, which was our DCA, was at $69.66, which makes sense because the price went down. Our break even was at $70.90. So you look at the chart, this 3-day chart, we entered here, dollar cost averaged here, and the price continued to go down. Now this is where you got to be really careful in reality, because if you're looking at this, we're looking at maybe you're in this about a month or so in this chart, in this stock, and during that time, your profit and loss, the loss is going to be going down, 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 and you're going to be, well, getting nervous if that's what you're going to stare at, That's emotion, is my point. That's your emotion. That's where you can't panic and get out of the trade and start worrying, oh my God, I'm, depending on how much, and you should never be, I want to pause and take a moment to talk about this. It's real critical. If you put too much money in that stock to begin with, and then you buy again, and then the stock continues to go down, you may be looking at 15% loss, maybe a 20% loss. I don't know. Okay, but this is where you have to play what the indicators are telling you. All right, and this is telling you that you don't want to reinvest any more money unless it has another, the indicators are telling you to. And in fact, on this day, on the second entry where we dollar cost average, that right here, if you could see this one long line, it exceeded this long line. So it had even a next opportunity for a reversal. And that next opportunity was right here. Okay? Remember, this is another thing that will keep you out of the wrong emotion at the wrong time. We're getting in at an extreme. That's the whole objective. We're taking advantage when a stock is at an extreme, and we want just a little 1.5% profit or break even to get out of this trade and move on as soon as possible. That opportunity came right here. That stock shot up well past $70.90. In fact, it went to $74.60. That would have easily exceeded our 1.5% profit, but we're not trying to achieve that. We're trying to achieve break even and exit the trade, and that's what we did here. Method. Okay, so moving on to the next method, is the next method name is TSV XM Match Reversal D3. That's the name I actually put on to my trades here. So let's see. In this method, time segmented volume, extreme MACD, match reversal D3. The result we're after here is to profit from the reversal that occurs during major momentum. Target is 1.5%. This sounds very similar to our PM200 D3 method, because it is the same. What we're trying to do is take advantage after a major momentum reversal. This particular method hits more often. This is my 90%er. Okay, The PM200D3 hits about 70% of the time, 75% of the time, but this has even more consistency than the other PM200D3. Now our purpose: maintain consistent profit targets of 1.5% or better. Notice we're trying to get 1.5%. Okay? The other method called for 1%. So we should expect to have targets a little bit higher of a target here. All right? Now the action is to set up and how to use the indicators are explained in this section, how to read your TC2K indicators for extreme conditions. That would be our first action, is to set up our indicators, which I explained in the past how to set up those indicators. So you already have that knowledge. The next part here, important reminders. Reminder of the danger of not following the rules. Penalty is a loss of your money and time. So that's the next section. Let me just focus on here. The method name TSV XM match reversal. So for the time segmented volume / extreme MACD match reversal D3, we'll go ahead and use this chart as an example of what that method is. This is the time segmented volume. This is the MACD. Once again, these bars here and these bars here, we do not want to use. It's still kind of, the data is still kind of, how would I say, becoming accurate over, and I'm looking at this area here, and where I'll start considering the data accurate is once this bar, actually over here, because I want to get, the bars don't go positive till way over here. Okay, so knowing that this bar is the highest bar closest to what is currently going on, that's why I marked the horizontal red bar here. Okay, for this one, I'm gonna blow it up here. This bar is the highest bar that occurred prior to what is currently going on over here. Now, that's, of course, we want to have something to compare to. We want to have something that breaks the red horizontal bar, and that is obviously here, because it broke the red horizontal bar on the blue and on the pink. It broke it on this date. Long story short, this was an actual trade. Okay, and following the rules I said earlier, I marked a vertical bar, the orange bar, on the day I actually entered the trade. This is my trade plan. I entered in at $16.98 on January 12th, 2016. If you noticed, it closed, I'm looking at the green data box, or the data box, but at the very top, it closed that day at $16.95. Notice there was only a 3-penny difference between the close of that day and where I actually entered the trade at $16.98. So on this day, on January 12th, 2016, we entered at $16.98, and it was a short because it matched my conditions here. All right, now our trade profit point is $16.95. So we're going for the 1.5% of $16.90. I take that back, of the close. So 1.5% of $16.95 comes out to $16.70 as our good to cancel profit. This is our limit order. Okay, our limit order is $16.70, which is 1.5% lower than the close. So I keep coming over here, and I apologize. The close of $16.95. And then this is just simply the name of our type of method that we're using. Okay, This is our trade plan. What ended up happening, I will show you here. I'm just going to bump this over. Within 3 days, it dropped 3.83%. I made my target within 3 days. Okay? That is our, well, that's the trade. That was the plan. We met our target and we move on. Okay? Now, let me make sure everything is back. Okay, so that's accurate there. Notice I'm on board number 2. Like I said earlier in explaining boards, I always use board 2 as designated for all my live trades. Okay. Now, the next section here we're going to explain is I want to drill home the importance. We're nearing the end of the session 2 here. Important reminders. Reminder of the danger of not following the rules. The penalty is loss of your money and time. This, I hope you look at as kind of being scared straight, so to speak. This is what can go bad. This, if you don't follow the rules here. If the rules are not followed, this trade could have cost the entire investment because Facebook went on to double in price over an 11-month period. Okay? So, Facebook was one of those rare instances where price doubled in less than a year. The point is this trade could have lost all your money or an 11 plus months if you did not obey the BB rules or easily hit the bull bear profit target over multiple days. There was plenty of time to exit, days, not months. There was plenty of time to exit the trade with a profit. So what I want to illustrate the point here is on Facebook, my indicators for the TSV and BBP trade, it said to basically enter the trade where this line is here. It came down over 1.5%. If you missed that, rule, you didn't obey it, boom. It never, that's trade from this point, it never came back down, even equaling this point, it never came back again. Okay? If you look from here to here, it went 100%. If you invested $1,000, all that $1,000 is gone. And it did that in 11.7 months. Okay? Now, Facebook obviously was a phenomenal company, and it is, and that's why the price doubled. But I just want to illustrate the point of what the potential of what could go bad, you know, for you. Driving the point home is to obey the rules. And if things, I mean, I've had out of hundreds of stocks I've checked, maybe 1 or 2 stocks took off over months, but they did come back down. So in that case, the worst scenario would have been time. You would have had a lot of time spent sitting on this stock, and your money would have been locked up over months, but you would have broken even. That's always, absolutely anything and everything can happen when you're trading. It seems like I've seen it all, but when I say that, I see something new. But this is one of the dangers that can happen if you spaced out. Now, if you space out and didn't do the trade, one of the things that would keep you out of that trouble is to immediately enter in the limit order right after you traded, after you actually placed the trade. So if you enter the trade on this day, you know, within the next 5 minutes, you got to enter in a limit order. Here, it gave you 3, 6, 9, 12 days where that stock easily could have broken even, and I would have tried to break even though the stock went on, and your profit, I'm sure, would have been made, your 1.5%. you had plenty of time, is my point, to get out of this trade and be safe and move on. Okay, so hope that point is driven home. So at this point, explaining the dangers here, it will I think it will end the video here and then drive that point home of what to look out for as far as the dangers, and then we'll continue on later.